Brothers and sisters, and welcome back to the Upper Room. Last Sunday was the feast day of Corpus Christi, which is the holy body and blood of Christ. You may wonder why this feast day that celebrates the Holy Eucharist, which is communion, is celebrated at a time of the year during ordinary time of the liturgical year, and not celebrated during the time of the Last Supper, which is just before Good Friday. That's because this particular feast day was instituted by Pope Urban IV, um, um, commemorating and dedicating this feast day directly to um, the proof of Jesus being truly present in the Holy Eucharist. And this comes from two Eucharistic miracles. Now, there are many more Eucharistic miracles than just these two, but these are the two recorded events that moved the Pope at the time to institute this feast day in dedication to these two miracles. Now, a Eucharistic miracle is when a priest consecrates the host, which is the bread and the wine, and the bread either turns to flesh, or it begins to bleed, or the wine turns to blood. In some form or another, the host which the priest is consecrating, physically changes to flesh and blood. And this is considered a Eucharistic miracle. And of course, the church investigates these claims, and if they and they do a lot of they try to see if they could prove it wrong, but if they can't, if there's undeniable evidence, then it goes down as a miracle. So I'm going to go ahead and read to you the two miracles that had to do with the Pope appointing this feast day. The Feast of Corpus Christi that we celebrate today is really the convergence of two separate events in the 13th century. The first is a Eucharistic miracle that can still be visited today in Orvieto, Italy in 1263. A German priest, Father Peter of Prague, stopped in Italy to celebrate Mass on a pilgrimage to Rome. He was having some doubts regarding the real presence of Jesus in the Eucharist. During the consecration, blood started seeping from the host and onto the altar and the altar linens. The miracle was reported to Pope Urban IV, who was in the nearby town of Orvieto. The Pope sent delegates to investigate the incident and to bring the blood-stained host and linens to him in Orvieto, where they are still displayed to this day, in the Cathedral of Orvieto. The second contemporaneous event was a series of visions reported by Saint Juliana of Montcornillon in Belgium. It had been revealed to her to establish a liturgical feast for the Eucharist. After many failed attempts, she convinced the bishop, who later became Pope Urban IV, to create the Feast of Corpus Christi to honor the gift of the Eucharist. Shortly after her death in 1258, the Pope instituted Corpus Christi as a universal feast day and celebrated it for the first time in 1264 in Orvieto, a year after the miracle in the nearby town of Bolsena. So it's talking about we had someone have a vision that they should have the feast day of Corpus Christi. There was also two miracles, one in Orvieto and one in Bolsena. So, and that was just the two that were recorded at the time. Since then, there have been many other Eucharistic miracles. And there's been many scientific studies on the Eucharist that have turned to flesh and blood. Sometimes they're different types of flesh. Generally, the one that's most predominantly known of is where the wine physically turned to blood, and the Eucharist physically turned to flesh. And the flesh, they had scientists examine it, and they actually found that the flesh is a piece of heart tissue, and the heart tissue actually has white blood cells which indicates that at the time that the sample was taken, according to them, to the according to the scientists that are researching it, they're saying that when the sample was taken, that the heart was alive. That's saying that this piece was cut out of a live heart. So it wasn't cut out though, because the when the priest consecrated the host, it physically changed to flesh and blood before their eyes. So this is considered a Eucharistic miracle. Um, the same blood that is on the tilma that we speculate Jesus was wrapped in, his burial cloth, is the same blood type as all of the Eucharistic miracles that have happened throughout history. So, so there's a connection to them all. Now, we don't have a direct identifying marker of DNA from Jesus. So, um, for example, like if someone commits a crime and there's DNA evidence, right? You need to get the DNA from the person to match it up with the DNA that you found to see that if they match. If you don't have the person's DNA, then there's nothing to compare the DNA that you found to. So therefore, you cannot you cannot see if DNA matches this person that you don't have their DNA of. So so that's why we can't tell like who the DNA belongs to. One thing we can tell is that the blood in every single Eucharistic miracle is the same blood type. I think it's AB positive or AB. So uh, so that is one indication of it being all from the same person, it all being Christ's blood and body and blood. Okay. Um, uh, so, so I wanted to talk about this today because the feast day of Corpus Christi is a beautiful feast day. They did a after mass. They did a procession of the Holy Eucharist in the monstrance around the church. It was really quite beautiful. I really wish I would have spent more time in adoration that day. Um, so, but I wanted to bring this up for all of you to keep in mind for next year. Keep in mind the feast day of Corpus Christi because it's a feast day that is has been appointed due to miracles that have happened in our church surrounding the Eucharist. So thanks again for watching the Upper Room. Please like and share and subscribe to this video to my channel. And if you like this video, and if you know any other Eucharistic miracles, know of any, please leave them down in the comments. I'd love to try and find them for myself. I know of quite a few, but sometimes you get surprised on other ones. Maybe some of you are in other parts of the world where you have, special feast days dedicated to devotions you have there where you live. So thanks again for watching the Upper Room, and I'll see you again soon.